Welcome to Coffee with Joe for Tuesday, February 15th. This is sort of a follow-up to the video that we made last week about inflation. Last video, Joe, you criticized the current Fed administration for not achieving one of their mandates, which is full employment. But I'd make the point, Joe, that you missed last week. They're not achieving either of their mandates. If the two mandates are full employment and price stability, they're not achieving price stability very well either, because energy and food prices are going up right now. Now, obviously, there can be factors other than monetary factors that cause prices to rise. But what we can say right now is that prices are not stable.
Yeah, no, Pete, there actually is a connection. Thanks for mentioning that. If you create all this excess money into the system, Pete, okay, and it's not going to productive employment, okay, and on the excuse that, well, there's no demand, okay. Well, yeah, there's no demand. It's true, there's no, but the money's there. So where does the money go? The money goes to speculative purposes, Pete, okay. So basically, we're flooding the speculative market with more capital, more potential capital, more base capital. And it's going into commodities, and those commodities generally include the things that you're talking about, agricultural commodities for sure, but also mineral, commodities, also energy commodities. All of those things are being fueled. Yeah, the inflation's being fueled by the fact that the monetary policy of this country is incapable of getting aggregate demand flowing, Pete. Okay, and without aggregate demand flowing, and you're throwing money at it, it's not doing anything. It's doing less than nothing because it's creating inflationary tendencies. It's a monetary price inflation as opposed to the excess having an excess demand causing inflation. Okay, causing price inflation. But again, we want to try to transform this into thinking about the Kucinich Act being in place, okay? The Kucinich Act being in place, we're no longer, first of all, using interest rates to control the money supply. The money supply is being accommodated, okay? It's being accommodated by the power of the government. And as far as the full employment mandate goes, the opposite is going to be true because they have the ability to directly spend government money into the M1 and M2, what we consider the M1 and M2 part of the economy, which does show up in the bank accounts of people, creating demand and therefore creating the need for more production, more gross domestic product, Pete. Okay, the growth of the gross domestic product. So all of that's going to be different as far as that goes. But most importantly, back to the government debt and the retirement of the government debt part. If you can create $1 trillion today of demand, okay, and the need for infrastructure, Pete, could be such that we need $1 trillion of infrastructure work. Now, of course, has to be a ramp up. There has to be an adjustment period into which it takes place, and that's why, Pete, if you take a look again at Dr. Yamaguchi's work, you'll see that the implementation of the debt-free money alternative is neither inflationary nor deflationary over the longer term, okay? And you have to think with monetary system, think national economy, think the transition to a permanent money system. You have to be thinking long term, okay?
So are you conceding that it might be inflationary over the short term?
The fact that we have government securities that are so much short term that if we pay them all off as they mature, there is a possibility. I mean, I'll throw that out there. There is a possibility. But at the same time, you're getting rid of government debt, and you're getting rid of the interest payments that are going to become the obligation of the taxpayer on that government debt. So I think that those are, part of the reasons why what appear to be inflationary aspects of things are, in fact, not inflationary. But a bigger one, Pete, if you will. We've transitioned to full reserve banking, okay? We've transitioned to real United States money. And by so doing, the federal government has made all the bank credits out there into real money. And in so doing, the obligations of the bank receiving that payment from whoever has that loan to pay it to the federal government, okay? And what that does is gives the federal government a source of funds through which to recycle, okay, back into repayment of for the government debt.
Okay,
And
stop for a minute. So we have the transition to the new system. The federal government replaces all of the funny money from the fractional reserve banking system with real money. Essentially, creates a zero interest loan to the banks so they can have dollar for dollar U.S. money backing up every loan that's out there. So when the loans get paid back to the bank has to pay the principal on that money back to the federal government. That money that they borrowed at 0% interest, it goes into, and the act goes into this, the revolving loan fund, right?
revolving fund account, they call it.
Revolving fund account. And that money could be used as a source for paying off the government debt when it came due without increasing the money supply for that
Exactly.
piece.
Exactly. And Pete, that concept has to be founded, if you will, on the permanent money system concept. Okay, that we don't destroy money when loans get paid off, which is part of the debt money system of fractional reserve banking. Okay,
Okay, Joe,
that's going to end.
let me throw one at you then. Where how's there going to be enough money for people who want to take out loans under the new system if that principal that's being paid back to the government is being spent to retire the government debt?
Well, you almost answer your own question with that, Pete. That is to say, those people have that money back. That money goes into the bank. Nobody's going to be doing anything with that money except depositing it. It's just a recirculation.
They're going to be depositing it, and they're going to be looking for a place to invest it.
Exactly.
Right? It's been investments. They're going to be looking for a place to invest it. So that those will be the deposits in the bank from private investors that are now be available. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So Pete, one of the things about, and this is I can't say this strongly enough. It's really important to have the holistic view of the money system transition. Okay, and that is to say that everything is different. The people of the United States of America, as they're acting as through their government, are no longer going to be in the credit markets. The ability of the credit markets to determine an inflationary impact onto the government and therefore onto the national economy is going to be non-existent, Pete. Okay? Why? Because the monetary system is going to be in control of the people acting through their government. So a lot of what people think of in terms of, oh, but that'll never work because you know why? The markets, will prevent that from happening. Well, goodbye markets. We're not going to be in the market for this debt. We're going to pay off this debt. Okay? What the markets are going to have to do is find new borrowers, Pete. Okay? That's what the market's going to have to do. And what's going to happen when you have a permanent, adequate money supply is the interest rates are going to be, by nature and by market pull and push, lower than they would otherwise be.
So the owners of capital may not like this so much.
Well, the owners of capital may not like this so much. It's true, Pete.
But that wasn't where we started. This is about.
That wasn't where we started, but in fact, there's going to be winners and losers in every aspect of things. But the good thing is that bankers will be getting back to banking and will be lending real money. Okay, the advantage that they have of creating the money and controlling the economy will be gone. So that they'll be back to soundness and stability for their own lending portfolio by their own lending policies. What people think they do now, Pete.
That's a big enough bite for today, Joe.
All right, Pete.
Thanks for that.
Okay.
And we'll continue next week.
Salute to you.
Okay, see ya.